You're welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about another consequentialist theory, also known as the tautology theory, which is utilitarianism theory. Yeah. Utilitarianism, the philosophy of utilitarianism has been linked to the names of the British philosopher and economist known as Jeremy Bentham and John Stewart. Yeah, so those are the two main philosophers in this theory. We have Jeremy Bentham and Stuart Mill, and has been influential in modern economics in general. Utilitarianism comes from the word utility, and utility means satisfaction. Yeah, so the basic principles of the utilitarianism theory could be explained as follows. Utilitarianism, we said it's a consequentialist theory, and it has its application to business, and it holds that whether an action is right or wrong depends on the pleasure or bad, which is pain, consequences produced for everyone affected by the action. So it looks at the consequences of the action, but it looks at the majority. If 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 many people are happy by the consequences, it is considered moral. If many people are not happy, it is considered immoral. So it looks at the numbers. How many are happy with the consequences? Like how many are pleasured by the action, by the consequences of the action, and how many people received pain from the consequences of the action. If a few people received pain, or if a few people were hurt by the consequences of the action, it is considered moral. But if many people were hurt, it is considered immoral. Yeah, in short, it considers the majority and it ignores the minority. And that is the utilitarianism theory. It looks at how many were satisfied and how many were not satisfied, and they compare the two. So the utilitarian theory is such a universal or comprehensive and considers the consequences of all the parties affected by the act. And according to this theory, an action is morally right if it results in the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people affected by the action. If the greatest amount of people are happy with the consequences of the action, it is considered moral. And if the greatest amount is unhappy, it is considered immoral. And that is the utilitarianism theory. This principle is also called the greatest happiness principle. Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill explains the idea that the moral worth of an action is determined solely by its utility in providing happiness or pleasure as summed among all the conscious beings. So it is also known as greatest happiness principle, the happiness of the majority. Yeah, if the majority are happy, it is okay. In other words, John Stuart Mill expanded Jeremy Bentham concept of utility to include not only the quantity but quality of pleasure, while focus on rules instead of individual moral action. So it does not only look at the quantity, but it also looks at the quality of pleasure. The underlying idea is the notion of utility, also known as satisfaction, which Bentham sees as the ultimate goal of life. In this life, we all want to be satisfied. We are looking for satisfaction. We are looking for utility. And what is satisfied does not motivate us. Once you're satisfied with something, you would want something else. Yeah, so in this pleasure seeking interpretation of utilitarianism, utility is measured in terms of pleasure and pain. If you're experiencing pain in your life, you can't say you're satisfied. No one is satisfied with pain. We are always satisfied with happiness. We always want good things. Other interpretations of utility look at happiness and unhappiness. Yeah. If you're unhappy, of course, you're not satisfied. If you're happy, the higher chances that you're satisfied. But you can be happy without being satisfied because it's really hard to achieve satisfaction.